What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Reacts as the day has come, people. We've been anticipating this for the last couple of days, well, throughout the whole tournament, to be honest, of the Asia Cup.
Stop smiling.
And that's actually us this time, you know. See the man in the background that is smiling so much. Klinsmann has finally been sacked. He's been relieved of his duties as the South Korea head coach. And we're going to take a look at the internet to see how they did react to it. So first, you want to say something?
I'm saying his reign of terror.
The reign of terror is over. Paul Williams is quote retweeting the tweet from Asian Games saying the KFA has officially sacked Jurgen Klinsmann, and he says, "Who could possibly have seen this coming? The great shame is that they wasted such glorious opportunity for the Asia Cup success with such an obvious bad hire. Questions need to be directed to the people or the person who made the appointment to begin with." And that's another true statement there.
And as they say, it was a golden generation, and
still is the golden generation.
The players they have. It's such a shame that they've wasted the tournament. Essentially, I know they got to the semi, so you could always argue, they didn't do that badly, but let's be honest, they were never going to win the tournament with the way they were playing. And if they had a different manager, I think they would have had a really big opportunity of winning the whole thing. Yeah,
does that show how much of a golden generation this actually is for South Korea? Because how terrible they were. Still, they had star quality to push them through to the semis.
Absolutely, it does.
Albert Kim is retweeting a Paulo Bento video where he says he had to say this about the KFA management of the players. They think the players don't need to rest because the most important thing is money and sponsors. The national team is for sure not the most important thing in Korea. And Albert Kim says Paulo Bento called this way back in 2022. Say what you want about the man, but he was a true professional through and through. Obrigado to Paulo, Sergio, and the rest of the Portuguese coaches.
And we're seeing it now with the KFA literally confirming that story about Lee Kang-in and Son not protecting the players whatsoever. They don't see a need to. They'd rather protect themselves. That's what Paulo Bento is calling out then, that they didn't seem to want to protect the players at all. Yeah,
disgusting, really. Coys Daniel says, Tottenham block questions about the incident. They've done more in order to protect Sonny than the KFA has ever done. That's sad. And that is really sad, to be honest. As much as he's a hero for Tottenham, he's our club captain and everything, but he's literally a national hero for the whole of Korea, never mind in football, just in general, a national hero. And the KFA do nothing to protect him.
100%. And it's sad that Spurs had to be the ones to, put the barriers in place to make sure that he's being protected by the press, and the KFA kind of threw him to the wolves with their actions. So it is very sad, but I'm glad he definitely looked back to his old self at the open training session, and he looks to be getting over it.
Exactly. The Tottenham family will take care of you, Sonny. Don't you worry about that. Klinsmann tweeted out saying, to all players, my coaching staff, and all Korean football fans, with sincere gratitude, thank you so much for all your support, taking us to the semi-final of the Asia Cup and an incredible journey over the last 12 months with not losing 13 games in a row. Keep on fighting.
They lost, though. They lost to Jordan.
Maybe before that they didn't lose 13 games or something. But Ham Tottenham says, regardless of tactics, performance, whatever, it's your huge mistake that you blame the players at yesterday's online meeting. Keep it in mind that you have no qualifications as a manager, and the gall to blame players for that, for going out in that tournament, is ridiculous.
100% agree. And the fact of the matter is, the way they were looking before that game against Jordan, regardless of what the incident that happened between Son and whoever, they weren't looking like winning the tournament. They were playing really bad football. They were all over the place. They were defensively very open. They relying on individual brilliance and to get them through games. They were very lucky to get to the semi-finals anyway. So yeah, I completely agree. He can talk all he wants, but when he goes on these meetings and blames the players instead of taking ownership, they only got one thing coming.
Steve Han says, in the first public presser in years, the KFA president Chung announces with his head down to read a prepared statement throughout the whole time to announce the dismissal of Jurgen Klinsmann as Korean manager, saying he couldn't do what we expected from a Korean manager.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And it's taken his time, but he's finally taken advice and sacked him.
Here's a meme from No Context Korea Football saying, "My job here is done with Klinsmann," and then it says, "But you didn't do anything," and then there's just Klinsmann in driving away, basically.
But his job's done. He's off into the sunshine. Yeah, fair play to Klinsmann. No,
Yeah,
don't
fair,
think so.
massive fair play to Klinsmann. Fighting Stripes Football is retweeting Sungmo Lee saying, 1, the KFA president Chung didn't resign from his place. 2, he insisted there was a misunderstanding about him and it's not himself who brought Klinsmann himself, but it was done under fair process. 3, Korean fans and the media still believe Chung need to resign as well. So he's trying to put himself away from the blame once again. Classic there. But Fighting Stripes Football retweeted that saying, the lack of self-awareness from Chung is frightening. Does he really think that the public doesn't know who pushed for the hiring of Klinsmann?
Well, he was the only one reluctant to fire him, let alone hire him. So he obviously, the relentless pressure meant that Klinsmann had to go and it was the obvious decision to sack him. But by all accounts, reports were suggesting that a lot of the board of directors at the KFA wanted him gone, but Chung was the only one who didn't see the reason to fire him. And all this like, oh, it wasn't my decision to bring him in. I mean, just rings hollow when it seemed as though you were the only one protecting him.
This is just madness when you think about it. About what went on in the tournament. We saw the tactics deployed when you're seeing why Klinsmann was appointed in the first place. Everyone is just trying to pass the buck of blame. It's nuts. And the only one that's actually come out and like taken any blame was Sonny after the tournament. You know, the only one. And it's like he was the least to blame out of anyone in the whole situation. It's actually disgusting.
He's the only one who takes any sort of ownership. It's ridiculous.
It's madness. Sungmo Lee just telling us that KFA have decided to sack Jurgen Klinsmann with a big grin on his face as per usual. And then again, that was the Klinsmann statement, which we read before. And that is all we have time for today. And that is all we have. But that is how the internet did react to the Klinsmann sacking. Someone has to take some sort of accountability at some point. Klinsmann has fallen as the Korean manager, which is rightly so. But Chung has to be next, surely.
Well, I don't know if he'll sack himself. We'll have to wait and see, or resign. But we'll wait to see who is next in line for the job. It's going to be very exciting to see if a new manager take these players, into the World Cup and hopefully can do a much better job than what Klinsmann did. Let's
hope so. We'll wait and see who that is. Hopefully we'll see a decision come soon, seeing as there is next month there's international games and South Korea face China in an important game. So we have to come to some sort of resolution fairly quickly. But that is all we have time for. Thank you everyone for joining us today and we'll see you next time, guys.